The Spider-Man Disney Sony deal continues. Spider-Man is such a huge and very important Marvel character, which is why many of the fans want him to remain in the MCU. And there are a lot of reports going on right now stating that the deal is done, that it was opened back up again, and now there are reports saying that Apple could buy Sony, which would make the rights to Spider-Man go back to Disney. But that is still a long shot, as we have no idea if Apple really is going to buy Sony, but today we have a little bit more hope. We have a report today that says Disney may just outright buy Spider-Man from Sony. Now, this is different than what they've done before. Before, they just tried to get 30% of the revenue and profits that Spider-Man earned. But now, Marvel and Disney want to buy Spider-Man outright from Sony. This is something that actually has been attempted before, but unfortunately didn't work out. So I'll dive into everything that needs to happen for Disney and Marvel to buy the rights to Spider-Man outright from Sony. Quick heads up, I'm doing a co-giveaway with my buddy Chaos. He's going to start to do some different types of Marvel and pop culture videos on his channel. So if you'd like a chance to win a Nintendo Switch, be sure to subscribe to my channel and his channel. And of course, subscribe to my channel to enter for a chance to win an Xbox One or a PS4. So, as I mentioned, Disney and Marvel trying to buy the rights to Spider-Man back from Sony outright has happened before. If this would happen, that means that Marvel and Disney would own all of Spider-Man, and that means they can do whatever they want with him without Sony being in the picture, because they would own all of the rights to him. And that means especially keeping him in the MCU as a future leader of the future Avengers. Now, according to reports, Disney and Marvel tried to buy Spider-Man outright from Sony in the past, but Sony wanted $10 billion. Now, $10 billion is an insane amount of money, so of course Disney and Marvel said no. But now, according to reports, it seems like things have changed, and Marvel and Disney may go back to Sony with a lower number in an attempt to buy the rights to Spider-Man. Now, although $10 billion is an insane amount of money for a character, right now Spider-Man is definitely worth a high number. Spider-Man Far From Home was the first Spider-Man movie ever to make over $1 billion. Now, this was widely due to the fact that Spider-Man was in the MCU. He was in Avengers Infinity War, and he was in Avengers Endgame, which is now officially the highest grossing film of all time. And this was sort of Marvel's plan when they introduced him in Civil War, for him to be a part of the future of the MCU. And now with the possibility of Apple buying Sony, it makes sense for Sony to try and sell the rights to Spider-Man to Marvel and Disney. Because if Apple buys Sony, the rights to Spider-Man go back to Marvel and Disney, and Sony would not get any money for Spider-Man. But unfortunately, if a company does decide to buy Sony, it will take a very long time, most likely a couple of years. So unfortunately, if that happens, Spider-Man would sort of be in a limbo state, which is what Marvel and Disney do not want. So right now, it makes sense for Sony to sell the rights outright back to Marvel and Disney for Spider-Man. And apparently, Marvel and Disney are going to come up with a different number that is lower than $10 billion and present it to Sony in hopes to buy back Spider-Man. This is almost the best case scenario, because like I said, if a company buys Sony, that doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of legal processing that has to be done for that. So it will most likely take between a year and 2 years to finish. So that's a year to 2 years that Disney can't use Spider-Man. And Sony gets no money for Spider-Man if that happens. But if Sony is willing to sell the rights to Spider-Man back to Disney and Marvel for a lower price, then we don't have to wait for Spider-Man to be in the MCU, and Sony still gets money for Spider-Man. So hopefully this ends up being somewhat true. Hopefully soon Marvel and Disney will make an offer to Sony to buy Spider-Man, and hopefully Sony will accept. That would officially bring back Spider-Man to the MCU. But let me know, what do you all think about this? Right now, it's a lot of back and forth between where Spider-Man is going to end up. So let me know, would you like him to stay in the MCU? Because I know there are some people that would really like for him to stay with Sony and stay in the Venomverse. So be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and head over to Chaos and subscribe to his for your chance to win a Nintendo Switch. And be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment with your favorite superhero or villain for your chance to win an Xbox One or a PS4. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.